What's going on, guys? Today I want to review some footage that was released a couple weeks ago now from a channel called Ambiguous World. It's ran by this guy who basically just goes out into the Australian bush and films wildlife in hopes that he finds a thylacine, which is really cool in my opinion. You should definitely go check out his channel. It's really cool, really interesting stuff. But yeah, a little brief history on this footage. It was taken just outside of Melbourne, Australia in the Yarra Ranges National Park, which is a pretty big national park from what I understand. It's home to some very vast, dense, temperate rainforest, which is perfect habitat for a thylacine, and is probably what the thylacine lived in back in the day. But keep in mind, the thylacine went extinct in mainland Australia thousands of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, so just keep that in mind. But enough talking, let's just review this footage. So the video starts, he's filming on his thermal camera at night, and you get this silhouette of a four-legged animal running across this field or valley. Now it's interesting, but my first reaction, and I'm sure this is a lot of people's initial reaction when they see this, is fox. Because there are foxes in Australia. They aren't native, but they are there. But the first thing that I notice that's weird about it is the way this animal is running. It's got a weird gait. Now, the thylacine was known to have sort of a weird gait or stride in the way it ran. So we'll replay this footage because you can't really see the animal anymore, but I'll skip this back, maybe zoom in a little bit, and we'll look at that again. Alright, so I have the footage zoomed in. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. Now, I said the way it's running is weird, and watching it again, it definitely is. It runs kinda funny, almost with a limp. Now, if this is a fox, which it most likely is, it could be injured or something, which might be why it's running like this. But the second thing I notice after watching that again is the tail. The thylacine had a very long, stiff tail. Now, it wasn't like a dog's tail that would sort of wag around. It would literally stay still even when it ran. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. Now, here's a still frame. I know it's blurry, but you can see how that tail is very stiff, even when it's running, which is what the thylacine had. Now, foxes also have a very long tail, but theirs is very bushy and it has a lot of fur on it. But another thing to consider is that foxes with mange usually lose all the fur on their tail, and it'll end up looking a lot skinnier and more stiff, more like a thylacine's. So yeah, that's just another thing to point out. That could very well be what we're seeing here. I don't know if you guys caught this, but at certain times it almost looks like it has stripes. Like in this frame right here. Now, this could definitely just be the camera or the lighting. Remember, this is taken on a thermal camera at night. Thermal cameras create all kinds of random blobs and splotches all over the screen. Honestly though, even if this animal did have stripes, I don't even know if the camera would be able to pick that up at night, because they would be black or dark brown in coloration, and the thermal camera probably wouldn't be able to make that out at night, and especially since this footage is taken from a distance. Like, you could put a zebra out there, and I bet you it would still show up as all black on the footage, just like this animal here. But the last thing that I want to point out is the heel. So one of the main differences between the shape of a thylacine and a fox is by looking at the heel. So here's a picture of a thylacine, and notice how the heel is very short. But if we look at a picture of a fox, notice how the heel or the back of the leg goes up much higher, almost halfway up the leg. And in this footage, honestly, it's just really hard to tell. I couldn't really find a good still frame. But in this image that he puts in the start of the video, he has a couple of still frames. And if we zoom in on a couple of them, the heel does appear to be rather short. But again, thermal camera, this could literally just be the camera warping the image, but the heel does appear to be short. But there's also this still frame where it doesn't even look like it has a foot at all. So this could just be the camera, but I was also thinking it might be running through really tall grass, which could also be blocking the view of the rest of its leg. But yeah, it's just really hard to tell, to be honest. In the rest of his video, he goes on to try to estimate the size of the animal by measuring objects in the surrounding area. And in the end, he estimates the animal to be about 55 centimeters at the shoulder, 1 meter in length, and the tail to be 40% of the animal's length. And these proportions do match up with a thylacine. This is just a size estimate. These proportions could also match up with a red fox, but a quick Google search tells you that a large red fox measures up to 50 centimeters at the shoulder, which is a large red fox. So if this estimate is correct and this is a fox in the video, this is a very big fox we're dealing with here. He also takes out his dog into the area to show that for scale, which I thought was very interesting. But really, it's just too hard to tell exactly what this is in the video here. It's just too blurry, and it's on a thermal camera, which always makes it harder. It's really just a silhouette we're looking at. But if I were to guess what this is, I'm going to say it's a fox, just because it is in Australia and there are foxes there. Interesting footage though, nonetheless. Make sure you go check out Ambiguous World. Go check out the original video. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. See ya.